Unless you had a Lamborghini or skinny, you can give them all. Wanna give them all. Good afternoon. This is KJ Live. I'm Chris Johnson. You're tuned in to KJ Live on my Instagram Live. Today's guest on our show is 2017 UCLA Athletics Hall of Fame inductee Toby Bailey. My college teammate. After he finished up at UCLA, he was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers, spent a couple of years in the league with the Phoenix Suns, and then had an illustrious career overseas internationally in countries like Greece and I think Italy and Spain and all kind of stuff. He's a well-traveled Renaissance type cat and one of my favorite people of all time. And without further ado, we're gonna join with Toby. Oh, hold on, let me get Toby in here. He's not requesting me, guys. It's always something. Hold on. Gonna get Toby in here. Thanks. Shout out to Matt Harbor, our college teammate. I have some things I have to talk to Matt about. Oh, Toby, what's up, baby?
What's up?
Wow, nice background.
I had to get like you, man.
Jeez, where are you at, dude?
Space just for the day, man.
Oh, you're hilarious, man. Thanks for coming on, Toby. It's a pleasure to have you on KJ Live, man. You're one of the most elusive type of individuals that does exist out here from our era. You have a very low key digital imprint, and we don't hear from you too often. So I really appreciate you and the honor of having you on with KJ Live, baby.
Anything for you, man. Anything.
No, I appreciate it. So let's kind of just get right to it, man. I kind of just want to give people a little background on kind of, your journey, right, to the person you are today. So I want to kind of start just, lightly just going over our UCLA stuff and then moving on to your pro experience. And then we'll talk about overseas and then, post-college. So it'll kind of that'll be the flow. As far as UCLA is concerned, I'll take it back. I just kind of want to just jump to it. What are your favorite memories from our championship year, 1995, the 11th championship in the school's history, and the only championship won by a team that was not coached by John Wooden? So we basically the only ones that won a chip at UCLA in the modern era. What are your favorite memories from that year?
You know what? There were so many great memories. I think that year kind of set the blueprint for the rest of my life. Because it was one of those years where, I started off, my mom kind of told me to, before you go into, your freshman year, you need to write down a list of all the things you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And so I wrote it down, and I had that daily affirmation on my wall in the bathroom every day that summer. And I would just wake up and I'd see, everything, the personal goals, the individual goals. And it was just a year I was extremely focused. I was super focused. And, I think going into that year, it was amazing to come in with a bunch of my friends. I mean, you and JR and going in to play with Tyus and Ed and Charles, we already, they were already family. So it was just, it was me going home. And not everyone's college career is like that. It's always, going into a new space. You're nervous and you can't really be yourself, and you're feeling things out on the personal level.
Absolutely.
For me, I was stepping right into to the house, and it was a very enjoyable year, man.
And the thing about that year, man, people didn't I want to give the people the real backstory on how we met. So we were roommates, right? So college roommates our freshman year. So I wasn't playing. I was hurt. Toby was in the rotation. But I had a lot of joy, man, in just watching you achieve. I loved watching your successes. You know what time it was. We get back to the room, man. We hurry up, just watch your highlights, and it'd just be like heaven, dog. I mean, your highlights. No, because I wasn't in the game. You were jumping John, Garfield Bailey, all the dunks. You're doing your thing. So we were watching your highlights.
Let's go back to where we really met. When we first met.
Thank you.
Tell that story? You
No,
always get mad when I
I
tell
set it
that.
up. No, I got a comment about it, but go ahead. You tell it. I love when you tell this story in your
All right,
voice.
all right. So we are in Las Vegas, and we were playing in the tournament. My AAU team. I think we were in the ninth grade.
Yeah.
Was it ninth or eighth
Ni-
grade? It was around
no,
the
it's nice.
ninth,
It was nice.
ninth grade. And so we're playing, and and I used to wear these big fat ankle braces, these air casts back in the day. And I don't know why, I had the worst ankles, but I looked ridiculous. But after our game was over, your team was playing. And I think in a previous game you had hurt your ankle and you were on the sideline. And at this point I didn't know who you were, but I knew your father. So your father came over and he was like, "Hey, sorry, I know you don't know me, this and that. My son just sprained his ankle. Told could he use your air cast?" And I was like, that's weird. I don't want to wear my ankle
So
brace.
air casts are ankle braces, and so
Yeah,
Toby, it's weird because you sweat, you kind of it was kind of a funky kind of a thing going on. It's like this
yeah,
dude is gonna wear my air cast, like that's
yeah.
disgusting.
And then I looked over at you, and you didn't look the way you look now. You back then you were there was an awkward stage. You were a little chubby, and had the baby face. And I was like, this dude. I was like, please, he's gonna kill my ankle braces. It's like there's no way. I was like, he can't be good in basketball. And
Oh
then
my
I remember
God!
that was my thought.
I know.
But
I want honesty.
I because of Marcus, I gave up the braces.
Appreciate it.
You
Appreciate
wore
it.
'em, and I saw that you could hoop. And then from then on, we were friends, man.
Yeah, it was funny, man, because I had really blew my ankle out in that tournament. That's when Jason Kidd was. Did you play on J Kidd's team?
Yep.
Yeah,
We
so it
used to
was
play.
so
Yep.
yep,
Yep. To
so
play
yeah,
with.
he played on Jason Kidd. I mean, it was like, and in high school, guys, Jason Kidd. I mean, for those of you that weren't in Cali, I mean, you have an idea how good he was, but it was like it was 10 times Lonzo. I mean, it was Jason Kidd was
Right.
like, it was ridiculous, bro. Like Jason Kidd.
Right.
So you were on that team, so it was high profile. So I was kind of like, looking up at Toby, like, oh, it's Toby Bailey, dog. Like, holy crap, he let me use his stuff. No, I was. You know me. I always have reverence for cats, man. You know how I was. So my whole thing was I hope I don't bend his ankle brace, his air cast. I hope I don't mess up his air cast. So I tried to play kind of light-footed, and I was cognizant. I was cognizant. I was cognizant of not messing up your air cast. but
You're a fool. J
but
Kidd, that tournament, J Kidd,
oh yeah,
to touch on that, because it was the ARC team, and I
yes,
was on the young team,
yeah,
and J Kidd was on the older team that was up north.
yeah.
And certain tournaments they would bring me up as a ninth grader. I would like be the only one that they would bring up, and they would room me with Jason every time. I don't know why, but I'd be in the room with him, and our AU coach used to give him the keys to the car, and I would be going to bed at around 10 o'clock. I'd be going to bed, getting ready for tomorrow. We'd have a game at 12 or 11, and I'd say, man, I got to get my rest. I'm a ninth grader. We're in Vegas. I'd go to sleep. That kid would be out in the car, like until like he would come home at like 4, 5, 6 in the morning. He would come in, get 2 hours of sleep. We'd wake up, go play, and he would destroy everyone. And I'd just be sitting there like, I just got 10 hours of sleep. This dude got 2 hours of sleep and has destroyed everyone on the court. Jay was amazing.
No, amazing, well ahead of his time, like just big, strong point guard, man. And that story right there, that's amazing to hear because I didn't know he was doing that back in high school era. Like
Oh,
I've heard the J Kidd stories, but to know that he's been a real one since day one is like it just sends my respect for him through the roof, man. But man, let's keep that moving along, man. As far as your AAU career, and just all the people you played against, man. Talk about some of your counterparts, your contemporaries, man, because we grew up in a golden era of high school basketball, in my opinion, of Los Angeles, one of the best eras ever. Just talk about, some of the guys you looked up to, some of your inspirations, etc.
yeah. I mean, growing up where I grew up playing at who played at the same park as I did. He was like John Higgins and Chris Mills and those type of guys. So those are the guys I kind of looked up to, and I said, okay, these
Yeah.
dudes on a different level. if I want to be really, if I want to have the Kentucky, the teams like Kentucky and UCLA and Arizona and Michigan coming after me like they did, I definitely wanted to do whatever I needed to do to get to that space. I remember because Chris Mills played at our park, and then he went to he and Sean Higgins played in Fairfax, and my brother and I used to ride the bus. We used to ride the Rough, Tough, and Dirty, the RTD, and we'd be on La Brea, man, sitting on the bus stop, and Chris Mills would drive by in a new, man, he always had the freshest whip. He had a brand new, it was like a white Corvette or something. And
Damn.
he rolled by one day and saw him at the stoplight. My brother and I looking all corny in our Catholic school uniforms and backpacks. Like, man, we got to get like this dude. Whatever I got to do to get like that, I'm going to do it. So, we'd be on the bus stop doing our calf raises, staying ready.
Yeah. But why Loyola? Why Loyola versus a Fairfax or, Crenshaw?
You know what? I really don't. I think it was just the overall package that Loyola had. They could offer us. I know our second choice was going to be St. Bernard, so it was closer to the house. I got cousins that went to St. Bernard. That was the other choice, but the fact that Loyola had such a great situation in the classroom and on the court, I think that's what my parents wanted for me. And so, we decided to go to Loyola.
After we won the championship at UCLA, the very next season, we ended the year by losing to Princeton on a last-second shot in Indianapolis. Our career was filled with some ups and downs. We won a lot of games. We had a few deep runs into the tournament, but my overall sort of feeling or impression of our time at UCLA was that we underachieved. Do you feel the same way?
You know what? I think I do. I do. I think we wouldn't have that feeling if we had that championship at the end instead of the beginning. But knowing everything, all the talent that we had on deck, I think you could definitely say that. I mean, people ask me why I didn't come out my freshman year. And, first of all, you know how it was. People weren't coming out like they do now. It was, the people in that draft class were grown men. They were grown men in my position. We had guys like, Michael Finley and Ray Allen and guys that were, 2 or 3 years older and, already established and still in college. So it just wasn't done. But I don't know if you remember, but Kevin Garnett called me after our championship. And, he was asking about UCLA. And he was like, I'm coming. I'm rolling. So I was like, man, Kevin is coming to UCLA? Like, I was like, I'm staying. We're about to win another championship. It's about to go down. And then he put his name into the draft, and it was a, different story.
Quick aside on that. As far as, so earlier today, I was talking about the Beach Ball Classic. Somebody had mentioned Philippe in the Beach Ball Classic. Is that where you met KG? Because I was telling people that KG was down in South Carolina. Now, you can corroborate. So you met him there? See, I told y'all.
I met KG there. We played actually. We played them in, I don't know what exact game it was, but it was in the Beach Ball Classic, and it went into 5. I think it was 4 or 5 overtimes. I know it was the record for that tournament. And he's, Kevin Garnett is killing in the game. Obviously, he's a monster. He might have had like 40 points and 30 rebounds and something crazy. And I remember it was it was tie game, like 5th overtime, and we call a timeout. We're drawing up the plays, and my brother was on the team at the time, Coach Moose, love him to death, and one of our other teammates was like, guys, and we're not listening to him, and Coach is still drawing up the play. He's like, guys, I know what they're gonna run. So everybody just got quiet. We all turned to him. And he said, they're going to Garnett. And my brother, who's this, at that time, he was a little, tiny guy, he looked up, he was like, no fucking shit. So that's when we, I first met KG. And then I think it might have been either that summer we played in the Nike All-American game at Nike camp.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day of camp, we had scrimmages. And our first game we played against KG, and they threw me the ball on the wing on the fast break, and he was coming down. And to be honest, I didn't even really see him, but it looked like I saw him because I went up and I did a reverse, and he went up to block it on the break, and by luck, he didn't block it, and I dunked on him from behind.
A reverse?
Yeah, and everybody was going crazy, and oh my God, and this was when he was first becoming KG. So
right.
That's when we first met, and I think we kind of had that respect after that, and kind of just had a relationship. But good dude. KG's good dude.
That's dope, and that's interesting that you worked that thought process was taking place as far as coming out early, and then KG hits you up after the championship, and he's like, "Yo, I'm coming through," and so. That you never told me that. That's interesting. I'm wondering why you kept that piece of information to yourself. That's really interesting. No, honestly, dude, I'm kind of salty about that. Because I remember, you weren't talking to me around that time. You were mad at me about. Okay, I get it. I get it. You weren't talking to me for a little bit. I remember that. I was hurt.
Yeah,
but anyway, moving on. So Toby, we in our career, we lose to Kentucky. We get to the Sweet 16, our senior year. That year, obviously I get suspended. UCLA leaks the information to the media. So, most embarrassing segment of my life, they leaked it. That's how it got out. I never told the media nothing. So I was a little embarrassed, and I had a long road to come back. But while I was out, I was watching you, JR, step up as seniors. You guys did things the right way. You guys didn't put yourself in any kind of way of getting in trouble. And so I was looking at you guys like, yo, I got to get back out there. I got to get my shit together and get back out there with them guys because this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing that I'm not out there. Toby, JR, known you guys forever. We're at UCLA. And at the time, that was sort of my thinking. You guys served as an inspiration because I saw you guys and, I knew it was a struggle. You had to play out of position. Jake had to play out of position. We had to play some cats that typically didn't get a lot of burn. And so, we went up to Alaska. That happened in Alaska with that SmackDown. I'm watching that on ESPN or whatever. I think me and Moose in the dorm sipping on some me and Moose in the dorm and we're just chilling, watching the game. It's like, man, it hurt. So talk about that senior year, losing to Kentucky in the fashion that we did, and just sort of the turbulence that was surrounded about that season. I don't think you've ever had a chance to talk about that, really.
That was a tough year. It was enjoyable, but I think, like you said, it was a tough year because I think we didn't fulfill our true goal and our potential. It was a lot of turbulence. I mean, in our 4 years after that freshman year,
Jesus,
it was a lot of ups and downs with Coach Herrick. I thought he'd be there our entire time. When was the last time a coach wins a national championship and a year later, he's fired? It would never happen now. But that year we just had so much talent. It really was a year that reminded me of our freshman year when we had a great mix of the young talent and the old talent with Ed and Charles and George Zedek and Tyus Edney. And then for our senior year our senior class was amazing with you, JR, myself, and Jelani McCoy was he came back. He was a junior. And and then we had the young bucks and Barron and Earl Watts and Travis Reed, Billy Knight. And, our team was loaded. And the fact that we couldn't be cohesive the entire year and have our entire, we had when Jelani came back, it was a new starting five. When you came back, it was a new starting five. And then once we really started, to kind of hit on all cylinders, even though Jelani wasn't back, which, if he would have stayed on the team that year, I think won the championship. But, once we start to hit on all cylinders, then Barron goes down, after
the Michigan game, yeah.
You played great in that game too. You killed that game.
Look back at
that. You remember what happened in that game also though?
Yeah, what? Oh, I threw my gum?
Yeah.
Stop. Why are you bringing it up?
Because I've never seen anything like that in my life.
So what exactly happened, Toby? Let the people know, man.
I'll let you know exactly what happened. So we're playing Michigan in what was that? The Sweet 16?
Yeah, round of 32.
Okay. And that team was stacked too. I mean, they had Gerard Ward, Tractor Trailer, Lou
Maceo.
Maceo Baston. They had a squad. And I remember you were playing great. Had an amazing game. I think you had like 25 points or something like that. You had a lot of points in the game. It was good. But you got the ball ripped at half court. I think it was Lewis Bullock might have stole it from him. And I remember, and the only reason I noticed it because we were watching film the next day after that game, and you got the ball stolen at half court, and you turned and your face was so upset. You start chasing them down, and after you see you're not gonna be able to catch them, you take your thumb out of your mouth, make it dry, and threw it at him as he was going up for the layup.
Yeah.
And we were in the film session. I was like, Coach Lab, can you rewind that real quick? And he was like, oh, what? I was like, just please, just rewind that for me real quick. I want to see something. And he rewound it, and he saw the gum throw, and everybody he couldn't even hold it in. Everybody was dying.
I don't know what got into me in that moment. I think I was the embarrassment, playing in front of 32,000 people at the Georgia Dome and getting it ripped. Back in the day, there was nothing worse than getting ripped at half court. I mean, there's just nothing worse than that feeling. We in the tournament, bruh. We on CBS and shit. I'm like, man, this is crazy. So I got pissed. I reacted in the moment. I'm like, man, fuck. I couldn't catch up. I'm slow. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, fuck. But anyway, no, but. And I always wanted to say this, just because I don't think, I've never really been able to say it or just have the accountability to really say it. Yeah, I'm sorry I let you guys down that year, man. Like, I really am, man. Like, it was messed up. And I remember you wouldn't necessarily say it to me, but there were looks you would give me and things. I could feel your energy. I know you. And so, I knew there was a level of being let down about it. And, I'm sorry for letting you guys down, and it's something I can't bring back now. But I just wanted to just take ownership of that, man. Like, I should have did things differently, just to rock with my guys, you and Jake. You know what I mean? Like us three. Like it should have been about y'all, and you kind of came at me like that a few. And, we never like mano got into that, but trust me, I knew your energy, bruh. See, look at you. That's why you smiling like that.
I appreciate that because we definitely needed you, man. We definitely needed you. Could it have turned out differently? With Barron have not gotten hurt, I don't know, but I appreciate that, man.
So moving on, Tope. So we finish up at UCLA. You get drafted by the Lakers. You spend a couple of years with the Suns. Talk about the NBA experience just from the standpoint of, you were a second-round pick. You moved on to Phoenix. At the time I was overseas, I wasn't really able, internet was a little different, so I wasn't really able to keep up with you as much. Just kind of talk about your time in the league.
You know what? It was enjoyable, but it was tough because the year that I came out was the lockout year. So it was a year that we didn't really get a lot of time with the because it was a shortened season, so we didn't get a lot of time with the team. So the fact that my team was a veteran team, on our team for that year, it was like Cliff Robinson, Jason Kidd.
Phoenix Suns, right? 98? 98?
Gugliotta, Penny Hardaway. We had a stacked, really good veteran team. And the fact that the rookies didn't get a chance to really get onboarded properly, and we had a shortened season. So we were a playoff team, so we had to win a certain amount of games. So I think the organization didn't necessarily trust the rookies as much as they would on a normal season where you get the summer league, you get to really get onboarded properly. So that was a tough, transition. And then, the fact that, I was a guy my entire career that plays, 35, 40 minutes a game, like on every team that I'm on. And so you learn how to play that way. You learn how to play where you're getting a lot of minutes. You got
play through mistakes. Mistakes.
You got time to kind of get your rhythm, let the ball, the game come to you. And then you're thrown out in a situation where you might get 5 minutes here, you might get, 5 minutes there. And for me, I wasn't the kind of guy that was just going to go out and kind of, try to find my rhythm and let the game come to me. It was either like, I'm going to either go out here and shoot 5 shots, and if I make them, then I'm going to stay in and get 15 more minutes, or I'm going to miss all of them and get yanked out the game, but I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out swinging. So that's how I had the mentality I had. I wasn't used to playing in those short, blocks of time. And so, that was a tough time for me. I know the Suns wanted to re-sign me for 2 more years after my second year. And I was just we had Sean Marion came in my second year. Penny was still there. Rex Chapman had signed a big deal. And so, I didn't see any room to the floor, the amount of minutes that I wanted to actually get. And I think, a little bit of your ego gets in the way when you look around and you see guys that you felt like you were better than. At the time, it was like, Catino Mobley was one of the guys that, came in. He was my position, and Cat could play. Cat can really play. But, that's one of our peers, and, he was given the keys to, to that team. Him and Stevie Francis were, they were the young bucks at Houston that were, they gave them the keys and they were out there rocking. So you look around, you see them, and you see Jason Williams, White Chocolate, up in Seattle coming down, just, he's a torch, J-Kid. Every time we play, that dude, he used to give him the business. So you see him doing this thing, and, you see a lot of other guys your age, and you're like, man, I need to get somewhere I can play. And so I think me not signing that 2-year extension, giving myself another 2 years to kind of get assimilated and realizing that was a playoff team that I was on in comparison to where other guys, young guys, might have been rocking out on teams that weren't as good. I should have just been patient, played my role, but you live and you learn.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame yourself for being a competitor and wanting to play. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that sounds like that was your issue. And knowing you and knowing your history of never being pulled out of games, I mean, you played the most minutes in the history of UCLA. I mean, just like 50 minutes a game, it seemed like every game for years. It's just like all of us on the bench couldn't get none of Toby's burn. I'd sub in for everybody on the floor except Toby Bailey. No, I'm serious. I sub in for Chuck. I sub in for all these guys. JR, yeah, go get Jelani. But Toby's ass is out there for 40. And you know why, guys? I'll tell you why. Toby, he was like, he can make things happen defensively and offensively. You just didn't know what was going to happen to this guy. This guy might get a steal. He might get a block. He might get the key rebound, get up in the square on you. And then on offense, he may knock down a 3. He may shit on your whole team. He may offensive rebound, pump fake, layup. I mean, it was just mid-range jumpers. So as a basketball guy at the time, I was kind of like, man, this is crazy. This dude need to come out. But as I got older and look back on it, I'm like, damn, man, Toby was ridiculous out there. And you were top 10 in like 4 or 5 categories, 6, 7 categories by the time you finished at UCLA. I mean, it's just you were just such a well-rounded guy, a well-rounded basketball player. I always had a lot of respect for that. Keep staying on the NBA. So what, they offered you the 2-year deal. What was your next move when you turned it down?
I turned it down. I went to Chicago, and I got down to. Basically, they were like, you're going to make the team, come to Chicago. I had a few teams that were interested. And so, I felt good about, like, moving and going to a different place. And, I got to Chicago, and then it got down to the end and didn't make the team.
Who's your coach?
It was Coach Floyd, Tim Floyd. Yeah. And so, it didn't work out. It was one of those, it didn't even feel right when I was there. I'm a West Coast kid, we go out there and it's just snowing and it's not, it just wasn't the right feel. And so, I started my European career after that. And, I went 1 year in, where was I? Greece. I think it was.
What city?
No, I was in Italy. My first
year.
Year.
Where? What city?
In Imola, right near Bologna. It's
okay.
Like the closest. Yeah. So I was there for 1 year. Sean Ressler was on the team. I don't know if you remember him.
Michigan State, bro. Get out of here.
Ressler, Shane Hill, the Australian point guard. Got in a fight with Vince Carter.
No question.
Yeah.
What, 5'10" PG? How tall is he?
Tiny, blonde hair. He was on the team. And so I played 1 year there, and then I actually came back and went to camp with the Knicks, and actually made the Knicks. I made that squad, and in the first week first week or week and a half after I made the team, McDyess had gone down with an injury, and they needed to bring in a big for his replacement, and I got released after like a week. Yeah, and I was crushed.
Let me ask you this, Toby. I hate to interrupt you, but at that moment you get released, man. After you go through the high, so you bounced overseas, you came home. You know, the whole time overseas, man, you just trying to finish that season out to get this tryout for the next year and get back in the league. So that's everything. So it was basically everything. How did that affect you? What did you do? How did you respond to when you got cut by the Knicks, man?
Now that was tough. That was tough. New York had the same feel as LA, just energy. It was a big city. So I was feeling good about being in New York. It was tough. But it is life, and I learned a lot from it. And looking back, it all happens for a reason, man. I can go into it, and when you tell people this, they look at you with the side eye, like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. That's your, the commentary you have, like, you kind of created in your head to explain, going over
your narrative.
The narrative. You're okay with it, and everything happens for a reason. But I truly believe, like, I wouldn't have been the same person if I didn't have that experience in the NBA and overseas. The perspective you get from just seeing it on all sides and living overseas is amazing. I mean, I came back from, I'm playing on a good team in Italy, getting paid, good money, tax free. And you come back home, and I'm sitting there in the locker room for New York, and after practice, we have the massage tables going, 3 or 4 people getting massages, fully catered meal. We got guys over here playing pool. And I was just sitting there, and I was just like, man, I'm so happy to be back. Like, I truly appreciate it. Not like when the first time I came through and I played for Phoenix. This time I really appreciated it. And I saw a guy that had been in the league from day one, like his 9th year there. And he was going off on the equipment manager because there was no red Gatorade in the
Valid. Very valid. Very valid. Good job, whoever that. I'm kidding.
I thought you would. So I'm sitting back, and I'm like, his perspective and his outlook on life, I just felt sorry for him. And no matter if he was making millions of dollars, I was like, this guy, this is the worst problem. He's like belittling this manager because there's no red Gatorades, and there's every Gatorade on earth in here, protein shakes, everything. But it's just that type of being worldly and being able to see all aspects of life. I think really changes you as a person. And I wouldn't change anything.
And so you retired from the game in 2011?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, around there. You finished up in Germany, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Okay. And then out of Germany, you had a partner that you had worked with in Germany, was your agent. I remember Dean kind of started out with him, and then so that kind of got you in the agent game. Talk about your journey through the player representation game.
Yeah. Well, I started off my second and third year in Greece. We were in the championship game, and I got low cut in the championship, and I had that back surgery, and so I was out for I had back surgery, and then I had a staph infection in my spine, so I was out 9 months, and didn't know if I was gonna play again. Wanted to, but during that time, I was with a big agent, and I was close to some players that were highly touted guys that were about to come out, and he basically was like, come learn the game, and you can maybe you could bring these guys on board, and it'd be a great transition for you. So while I was injured, I kind of went and I would learn the game, and I kind of was interested in kind of, trying to set myself up for something after if I, didn't continue playing. So that's when I first kind of, it kind of got into my head, this might be an avenue for me. and then I was able to luckily come back and play 6 more years. But my entire time playing, I was with 3 of the biggest agents in the game, and it was great guys, but I just felt like I was never represented properly. I wasn't a guy that needed much attention. I just wanted you to be honest with me. I wanted you, to pick up my phone calls. When I called, I only called during, the period of time when, when I'm waiting for a job. And, even if it was, I'm a big boy, I could take, bad news. Even when it was time, to give me bad news, I wanted you to answer the phone and say, hey, I bang the phones all day. I talk to 20 teams. None of them like you. I'll bang the phones tomorrow. I'll keep working. That's all I needed.
Honesty.
From day one, from 5 years old, we've worked to get to that point. And then, every day you're waking up, running the sand dunes. Then you're going to find an open run. Then you're going to lift. Then you're going to do extra shooting. And all you want is somebody that gives you the respect to answer your phone calls and know that they're working for you. So that's the reason why I got on this side of the game. I always felt like I was working for my agent instead of the other way around. You know how it is, where you call them one time that week, and you're like, man, I already called them once. I can't call them again. Like that's the kind of relationship I had with these guys, and it just it rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, just so that, people understand the level that we were dealing with. So when we all came out, me, you, and JR, we had the same agent. We signed with Lee Steinberg coming out. And Lee Steinberg was a big-time agent, one of the biggest agents in the game. I don't know how your personal relationship and that thing went, but I know that I had some frustrations as far as, being able to reach people and being treated like a priority. I know that, dudes was getting whips. I didn't get a whip. There was just things going on. And I was just kind of like, yo, what's happening with this? Everybody's got a Navi but Chris. How come everybody got a fucking Navi but Chris? So, but that's neither here nor there. Ultimately, yeah, I didn't know you felt that way. Ultimately, I'm just playing, brother. But ultimately, I did have an opportunity. They did do some work for me. I was dealing with Joby Brandon. He eventually came up with an opportunity in Israel. People talked me out of it, and things like that. But I did have a real chance to do something with the agency, but I dipped. I was like, you know what, I'm off of this. I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with it. I want somebody that's going to provide me with some personal, one-on-one type representation and instruction. So I totally get where you're coming from. How do you think that your experiences on the other side has helped make you a better agent today?
I think it helps. It sets me apart, and my partner Mitchell Butler, who also played UCLA before us. He was one of my mentors growing up. When we were coming up to the men's gym, and he played in the NBA. I think 9-10 years.
Yeah, at least 10. At least 10.
Yeah. And then he worked in the front office for the Wizards, and he was actually he worked with Dan Fagan at Lagardère for for quite some time, and they're one of the top. At the time, they were one of the top 2 or 3 agencies out.
Absolutely.
And so, the fact that we have this kind of journey, we've had this journey, and we're one of them. We understand the grind. We understand what their parents have gone through. We understand what their guardians have gone through. We understand what they're going to go through. So, just small examples, but little things, but it's not really. That calls me like maybe one of our overseas players calls me, and he's upset about, maybe his not having cable or his internet is out. My agent in the past would have thought like, okay, whatever, we'll handle it, and it wouldn't have been a priority for them. It would have been, a week and a half, when they would actually fix it. Me, on the other hand, I'll go ape shit on somebody because I know that's their lifeline. Having the internet is their lifeline back to, to civilization.
Everything.
Everything. And, what people don't understand is when you go overseas to play, or if you go over, even in the NBA, and I know people don't have patience for guys in the NBA because they make so much money, so they can do what, they're basically, you need to be happy with whatever you get because you're making millions of dollars. But when you're overseas and you're getting paid to play basketball, the local players they go to practice for 2 hours, they come home, and then they're back in their normal life. For us, we're on call the entire time because even when we're out of practice, you're still on location. You're still away from your family. It's a different grind. So that's why I like to make sure that I really cater and make those guys feel really comfortable when they're over there because, I know what it's been like. I know what it's like to be over there without internet and you're reading books and, you're definitely getting smarter, but you're like, you're isolated. You can go through depression over there, isolated from all your loved ones. So, that's why we depart.
Well, I think that you do have a unique insight into the mind of a player. And there's nothing like walking in someone's shoes and recognizing the little things that matters. Like when you said the internet thing, I mean, that people out there don't really understand just like how that has to be a priority. Like that's like, I need this shit fixed like ASAP, like yesterday, bruh. And when you have that type of attention to detail, that's going to take you so far, especially in like a client service type of industry. It's the little things that really, really matter. Kind of flipping forward and moving on to like today's NBA, right? So, you have players in today's NBA that sort of wield power as sort of these pseudo agents, right? So they talk about, there's guys in this chat that say LeBron built the Lakers, and there's other guys in this chat that say this and that. I'm just trying to get your opinion on that. How much power and influence does a player really do have over the front office decisions that are being made?
I mean, they have. It's obvious. I'd be a fool to say that they don't have influence. I don't think every player. There's not many. There's just a handful that have that kind of power. But the amount of money that these max guys are making, they're the ones that are basically making the moves and making the decisions for the organization. You got to keep them happy. You got to keep them happy. They're the ones putting the people in the stands. So, the fact that LeBron is, building the Lakers teams, I mean, he's done a great job doing it, but it's definitely happening. Do I like it?
I don't know. Tobe, I don't know if I believe. I mean, look, when you talk, like you're saying, if you're a max guy, basically in the NBA, you have a considerable amount of influence over front office decisions. So Dame Lillard is influencing some of these signings up there.
It depends on if you use it. A lot of guys wield that power.
Good point.
And certain people, certain people wield it. They know what value they bring to an organization, and they're going to really wield that power. And you see it with the Lakers. I'm not. Sure. Giannis. I don't think he does it as much, but let's just say we had guys in the draft in that draft class of his brother that went before him in the draft, same position, that are out of the league now, and his brother went 1 year overseas back to Greece, and now he's a fixture and I'm not saying he's not good. He can play. His brother can play.
But it's right time, right place, right?
Yeah. Would he have had that same opportunity to come back from the league to overseas, back over and be a fixture, with the Bucks if his brother wasn't up for a max contract and they were trying to keep him, in Milwaukee? I don't think so. But so it happens. It happens.
Now, as far as when you talk about the NBA and social justice and the role of NBA players in spreading the message of social justice, where do you stand as an NBA alumni on the role of the NBA players sort of speaking out against inequalities that exist in today's society?
I'm proud of them. I'm proud of what they've done. I'd like when they do stand up for social justice, I'd like them not to look at the NBA as an enemy and more like an advocate, because unlike the NFL, I think the NBA has done a great job of being proactive, and you can tell they're genuinely on the player side as far as wanting them to enact change. And I think the players have gone, far enough as far as, what they did in Milwaukee, and then coming back with, with a list of actions that they wanted. That's the thing. You can't just protest just to protest. You have to protest, and you have to organize, and you have to, you have to have some kind of goal that you're trying to actually accomplish. So the fact that they came back with goals, and they allowed the stadiums to be turned into voting locations. I mean, that's huge. That's where you're going to enact change is by voting, is in the courts and changing laws. And so, I think the NBA is the players. I'm super proud of them. I'm proud of the NBA. Being an alum, I'm proud of what they've done, stepping up and not waiting for things to be, proactive. They've been very proactive. NFL, it comes off in it's just because, everything is reactive. You got to twist their arm for anything to happen. And, when that's the case, it just, we're no fools. We know that, when pressure's being put on you, you got to make a move. And we know the difference between that and, doing it because it's the right thing to do. That a large percentage of your players are, African Americans, and you need to, stand up and step up for them. And so I'm proud of the NBA.
Yeah, and today's players are definitely too smart to be pulling fast ones. We're not going for they're not going for the banana in the tailpipe.
No.
And they're sniffing out the bullshit quickly and ready to go. So as we continue on that line, I kind of want to get your opinion. Now, we talked about the front office, we talked about the agent part of it. Who do you think in the NBA is going to be the next face of the league for the next 15 years?
It's a lot, man. There's a lot of players, man, that are just really good. A few years ago, I was kind of worried, when LeBron and D Wade and that crew was starting to get older.
Yeah.
LeBron is, first of all, a freak of nature. For him to do what he did to have that kind of weight, to be 6'8", 250, people don't understand the amount of toll that has on, of wear and tear that has on your body. For him to be as explosive as he is at this age, it's unheard of. But, once that regime was about to go out, I was worried about who was going to come in next. Will we have stars? There's countless stars out there. There's so many talented players. I love Damian Lillard. I love, Jason Tatum. I love Book.
But who do you love the most? Man? You got to pick one guy that if you could put your money on that has everything, the total package, Toby, the it factor, the game, the everything, man. Who would you pinpoint as that guy?
It's too early to say, but I know you want me to say Melo.
I don't. I mean,
like
Luka. Like, just
Luka
so you know, I think
it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be one. To be honest, it's not going to be like Jordan or LeBron. I don't think it's going to be like that.
That's
I think
what Earl
it's going to be a handful. I think it's going to be like five, 6 of them that are just hogs that can just play and are superstars. I can't see that one Jordan out there, but Melo is. I know you want me to touch on Melo because that's your guy. But
I love Melo.
Melo is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
He's a guy that I saw. The way I evaluate talent is I like to see people up close, and I like to see the way their teammates react to them. And so looking at Melo, I was in the men's gym at UCLA, and he was 16 years old and he was playing. And I like to see when a guy has an it factor, and other players, they defer to him. And the fact that there were 10-year, 15-year vets in the gym playing with him, and they were deferring to a 16-year-old boy out there. And so when it was game time, and in the men's gym, you don't want to lose because you're going to be sitting out the next game. So it's game time, and I'm seeing 15-year vets passing it to him, and to set up the game, the last point of the game. When I saw that, I was like, oh, he's different, because the players know. The players will tell you who the stud on the team is. They'll tell you, and it's not something you could teach. It's just something. It's just like when a pack of wolves are born. There's that one that's got it. That's just the alpha, wolf, and you can't teach it. It's just him. They know it. It's some intrinsic quality inside of them.
Absolutely.
And some people have it. Some people can manufacture it a little bit and make theirs grow, like Kobe. Kobe did a lot of, he was just so prepared and worked so hard that although he had the alpha, gene in him, when he stepped on the court, he knew he deserved to shoot every shot because he worked harder than everyone in the league. So that being said, Melo, he has that. He has all the qualities to be the next face of the NBA. I love him. I feel like Charlotte really got a winner with him.
Yeah, no doubt. They got a winner. The thing that always impressed me about Melo from my days on the JBA circuit, coaching against him as a youngster as well, he never gets tired, and he can spend 9, 10, 11, 12 hours in the gym like it ain't shit. So, like, on that 11th hour, it looks like it's the first hour. And to me, that's just – and he's just bouncing around, his energy, he's smiling. It's like the gym he's so comfortable on the floor. He's so comfortable in the gym, man. It's like, it's a savant. He's a savant. He's a prodigy. I'm a big fan. I think he's going to be the rookie of the year. But a guy that I really love, though, that we didn't mention, I think that has the opportunity to really be this sort of, creep up on everybody as the face of the league is Anthony Edwards. I'm a big fan of his from the standpoint of his talent, but I also love that down-home just sort of demeanor that he has. I feel like he's going to be a very marketable person once he figures it out. He's going to grow up a little bit, but he's going to be a very marketable type of personality. And that's sort of what I was getting at with the face of the league. Who do you, I was trying to touch on.
Anthony Edwards is good. We represent Jordan McLaughlin, who's at the Timberwolves.
Nice.
Guard. And
nice.
So we watch all of his games. So I've been able to see his progression this year alone. Yeah. Once he gets more consistent and, and he's not pressing as much, but it's, he's a baby. He's a baby. The thing you can't teach is that dog. I'd rather be able to rein in a guy and tell him, hey, we need to slow down. You're doing a little too much. I'd rather that than to have to kick him in the butt to actually rev his motor up. You don't want to have to rev a kid's motor up. So, you're right. He's a dog.
You talked about Kobe, and it's something that happened a little bit ago, and I just, I talked to a lot of us, our teammates, about it, but I hadn't really talked to you. We really had a conversation about it, his death, and just how it affected you. If you could just give us a few words on Kobe Bryant, what he meant to us in our era, and how his death affected you.
No, Kobe was, it was just so shocking. It's one of those things like, when Michael Jackson died, you remember where you were. I remember exactly where I was when Kobe passed. And, I would see Kobe, when I see him, he'd say hello. We weren't close, but, he knew me, I knew him. So it was always a good relationship every time we saw each other. And it's strange to have a relationship with somebody like that and not really knowing how much it would impact you when they're not here. You kind of feel crazy after a while. You're like, hold on, I see Kobe once a year maybe and say what's up, but like, how is this hitting me like this? And for me, I just saw how he had evolved as a person.
Yes.
That was the biggest thing for me.
Yes.
Because I remember seeing Kobe, young Kobe, that was a few years after me, seeing him when my brother was playing at ABCD camp and I was one of the counselors. We were still at UCLA. Chuck and I, Charles O'Bannon, we were counselors at ABCD camp, and Kobe was one of the players. And I remember seeing him there and just seeing how, first of all, the spotlight that was on him and just how much pressure he had on him with, being we all knew he was going to be the next face of Adidas at that point. He had Sonny Carroll pushing him, and it was just a situation where he was under extreme pressure, and that was always intriguing to me, like how he was able to handle that. And so seeing him there, and then seeing how he systematically went about becoming the man. Like he was one of those dudes that like he would, you know, they always teach you, like your dad teaches you, like, you know, if you ever, you know, are getting picked on, you go to a new school and somebody's picking on you, you go up to the biggest dude, you knock him out, and then everybody else is gonna leave you alone. Like you get taught stuff like that.
That's what he was on.
Kobe was on that. Like, I don't know if you remember that, but like he came to LA.
Yeah.
And it was right after we won the championship. They brought him into it was almost like a handler brought in his, you know, his fighting pit bull.
No question.
Like, okay, who's the toughest dude here? You supposed to be the man? Okay, we're gonna remember, they had him going up, he was like, I got you, Toby. Right away.
Totally. It was calculated.
It was calculated. I was like, and for me, I'm like, we were right off a championship.
You're not tripping. You're not tripping.
I'm not tripping. But he
at all. He was tripping.
He was tripping. He was tripping.
He was tripping, dog.
So it was a situation where he came in and it's like fall away jumper, go do this, do that, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to lace up and really play against this dude. Then really try to play against him. I'm like, damn, like, I don't know how much I could do with this dude. Like it's crazy. And afterwards, he started like, man, this was a setup. Like if it was nowadays, they would have had a camera. They
all that.
Like it would have been all bad.
All bad, bro.
But you know, you kind of. You look back and you hear this wasn't the first time. He went to you know, you hear the story about when he was in Philly and he went at Stackhouse.
All the Sixers.
He was the king of his hometown. Stackhouse was the man in his position. He was like, I'm gonna go at you. Went at Stackhouse. You hear that story how he went at him and you know, and did his thing. And so that's just who he was. He was like, I'm gonna go after the top dog and I'm gonna embarrass him, and then, you know, that's how he kind of, you know, became who he was, and I admired that. The one thing I didn't admire was the fact that I felt like he was a prisoner to his persona. You know, he was a kid that, you know, from get-go, he came out of high school, he couldn't, you know, hang out with the normal kids. I mean, the normal team, because he was so young, so he would just be by himself. And then after a while, it became that persona, like almost the Michael Jackson thing, where it was kind of like he's an enigma. He's serious. He's just like a robot. All he does is just think basketball. He's so serious. And you know, he would never smile. He was just a killer. And then seeing him after basketball, loosening up, enjoying his family, you know, you see him with a glass of red wine every once in a while. He was starting to kind of really see like what life is really about. Like, you know, I don't have to be a prisoner to my persona. And when I saw that, it was, I was intrigued. I was excited to see what I was going to see from him, you know, off the court. He was doing such great things. I felt like we were cheated as far as what, you know, he could have brought the world after basketball.
Yeah, for me personally, and thank you for sharing that. That's such a legendary story and a great characterization of a young Kobe Bryant. He was like, you know, the traveling samurai going around city to city around the world, just trying to chop dudes down, bro. So we're at UCLA. We're in the men's gym. I think this was after that Wooden Center thing with you. And so I finally I wasn't there. So I was somewhere, you know, you guys, I don't know where I was, but I wasn't there. I don't know where I was. I wasn't there. I heard about it. I wasn't there. Everybody came back talking, oh, this, oh, that. I'm like, I didn't see it, bro. I don't know what happened. So the thing, my Kobe thing, I think it was the next year. So we're on the court. We're playing on the far court on the men's gym. In the men's gym, my dad is underneath the basket watching me play. And you know, if anybody knows anything about me, and when my dad is in the building, I kind of tend to show my ass, and I start to act out. You know, because, you know, I feel just so tough right at that moment. You know, sorry guys, I feel like the man, dog. I don't know. And my dad here, like, what y'all want, dog? MJ right there, bruh. But anyway. So me and Kobe are kind of going at it. You know, he scores a basket. I score a basket. The next play down, somebody shoots it. It's Kobe's team has the ball. Somebody shoots it. I go up to get the offensive rebound. You know, I'm just like jumping normally. This dude comes like from over on top of me, like takes it out my hand and like sidesteps it and bashes. And just like, I'm like grabbing, watching the Kobe take it out. And then he kind of like looked at me like, gave me that little look. And then I looked at my dad. I looked at my dad. I looked at my dad. He was like, what you gonna do? Like, I nigga dunked on you. He looking at you like that, bro. Like, what's up? So then I ran down the court. I chased Kobe down. Oh, at the time, Magic. So Magic was on. I think I was on Magic's team. But at the time, so I chased Kobe down. Like, man, what you talking about? First thing he says to me. I was like, why are you looking at me like that? First thing he says to me, Chris, I ain't scared of you. I ain't scared of you like everybody else. I was like, what? Like you coming at me straight up. He had his fist ball.
I'm telling you.
He was like, I ain't scared of you like everybody else. I ain't scared of you. I was just like, okay. Then Magic, Chris, Kobe, Chris, chill out, man. Chris, you know, and it was like a whole thing. And I'm just sitting there. And from that moment on, like, and so I kind of had a thing against Kobe. I was like, man, forget this kid, you know, the brash, the young guy, man. This guy's a punk, man. Like, yo, I'm not rolling with that dude. Until 2 years later, because that was my sophomore year. 2 years later, he coached me in the Magic game. Were you on that? We played in that?
Yeah.
Remember he was coaching that game. So I had a chance to talk to him in the locker room. I started serving in the game, and he was my biggest supporter. He loved the fact that I was pulling up from deep. He's like, shoot that thing, boy. You know, he was just saying stuff and just really positive. And I'm just like thinking to myself, damn, I held on to so much against this guy for so long. And it turns out he had a respect and mutual admiration for my game. And so, you know, back then, people have to understand, Toby, when Kobe came to town, okay, he's 17 years old. We thought we were sweet at 19, right? We thought, we had all the chicks and everybody loved us and all that. This guy has more money than you. He's taller, he's sweeter, and he's arguably more handsome. So it's like, imagine being a 19-year-old and this guy comes in and just takes y'all shit. He playing for the Lakers, dog, making millions of dollars. He went to prom with Brandy. So you got to understand where we were. We thought we were, you know, nice, but it was like Kobe came in and just like, yo, it's over, fellas. Sorry, guys. And he was a killer, and he was mean about it. So it was just even worse. It was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this dude. But a lot of respect for him, man. And one of the things, too, and we're going to end it after these comments, you know, the thing that impressed me the most about Kobe was the fact that he evolved into a girl dad. I mean, to see him with his daughters, see his involvement in the WBA, in the WNBA, to see his involvement in her AAU stuff, in volleyball, his other daughter's volleyball, and just being a real vocal proponent of that, it made me feel like us guys out here with daughters, you know, it was something to kind of look at and really respect. And he made it sort of cool to be a girl dad. How you feel about that?
No, I mean, I have a daughter and two sons. And so, you know, for me, you know, I saw that in Kobe, how much he loved his kids and his daughters. He just embraced it. And, you know, a lot of guys, they're salty, especially ex-players. You know, they want to live through their sons. And so Kobe, he was just so at peace with the fact that, like, you know, these are my daughters. I don't need a son. I don't need a son to live through. I'm just going to embrace and really love the fact that I have daughters and do whatever I need to do to make their dreams come true. And that's what he was doing. He was, whatever Kobe did, he was all in. Like, you already know, if he wanted to write a book, he was going to study, like, you know, the greatest authors to write that book. Whatever, you know, in basketball, he studied like a madman. He watching game film, and I hated watching game film, especially of myself. Like, I'd watch
me too.
But I hated watching myself because I'm sitting there like, oh, I did this.
Me too. And you look so nasty. You look so nasty out there for some reason. It's like, exactly. I did that?
So he took that on. Like, he would watch the same game that he just played. Like, you know, somebody was telling me, like, he'd watch it like twice before he before the plane landed. Like, he would just watch it over and over again, watching himself, what he did wrong. And, you know, that's tough to stomach. But, you know, he that's what he did. And so I saw that same vigor in you know, in getting his girl, you know, wherever they needed to be. You know, Gigi he was such a big advocate for the WNBA and for women's basketball that, you know, I hope someone else, you know, it takes on that torch and continues it for him. It might not be one person, it might have to be a collective, but, you know, I think that was much needed, and you know, Kobe would appreciate that.
Absolutely. Definitely the perfect way to honor the memory of one of the true icons of our era and of all time in the game. Toby, man, thank you for joining us today, man. I know you're a busy man. I appreciate you carving out some time in your busy calendar for your boy. Okay.
No.
I really do, man. And man, I appreciate your friendship over all these years, man. You've always kept it real with me. You always been that voice in my ear. I remember, in college, when I was heavy, you kind of, you said this thing to me that I'll never forget. So I was overweight, and I'm gonna end the show on this. I was overweight, and I'm, didn't get a lot of playing time, and so we come back from the championship, and we're in the college dorm room, and I'm kind of, wondering what Toby's gonna be doing for the summer. And I asked him, I say, hey, Toby, what you up to this summer, man? He's like, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna be working out. I'll be working on my game. And when you said that, I don't know about you, I was like, oh, okay, let me take my ass down to Atlanta then and drop 55 pounds on this dude.
You came back, only player in history of college basketball on a high-profile organization to come in as a center and in 1 year become a shooting guard, moving to the street. Unbelievable, bro.
Hey, we started. You remember that 18 games that year we started in the backcourt? You were at the one. You remember Cameron? Yeah. Remember Cameron hurt his hand?
Yeah.
So you were at the one. I was at the two. I love that lineup, and I'm going to close the show, but I got to think. Me, you at the one, me at the two, Charles at the three, JR at the four, Jelani at the five, and we still lost to Princeton. All right. Anyway, I love you, man.
Thanks for ending it like that.
All right. I'll talk to you later, brother.